Hello and thank you for joining us on Newsweek, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made the headlines in the week. I am Jacinta Obiuku. Today on Newsweek, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Senator Ademola Adeleke, as winner of the election, who won in 17 local government areas, while the APC emerged winner in 13. Many observers describe the election as peaceful but characterized by vote buying. After much speculation, the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has finally announced Senator Kashim Shettima as his running mate for the 2023 elections. The APC presidential candidate said he selected the former Borno State governor due to his competence and reliability. Later on the show, we will take a look at developments with Nigerian tertiary education as President Muhammadu Buhari urges Academic Staff Union of Universities to reconsider its position on strike. Stay with us. The Independent National Commission has declared Senator Ademola Adeleke of the People's Democratic Party winner of the governorship election in Osun State. The PDP candidate won in 17 local government areas to defeat the incumbent governor, Boyega Oyetola. The exercise was largely peaceful with a large turnout of voters in the 30 local government of the state. We have more in this report.
Saturday's election started off on schedule as many polling units observed, with accreditation and voting going on smoothly for the most part. It was a rigorous exercise that lasted for almost 24 hours, from the commencement of accreditation, voting to sorting, counting and collation of final results. The election featured 15 contestants, with a rematch of Governor Boyega Oyetola and Senator Ademola Adeleke drawing the most attention. As the results from the local governments trickled in, it was clear that the election, which was generally considered peaceful, was a two-horse race between both men. In the end, PDP's Ademola Adeleke won the election with 403,371 votes to defeat the incumbent governor Boyega Oyetola, who polled 375,027 votes. The governor-elect won 17 local government areas out of the 30 local government areas in the state. The final announcement of results was done by the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos, who is also the returning officer for the governorship election, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, at INEC's office in Osogbo, the state capital.
I declare that Adeleke, Ademola, Jackson, Nuruddin, on behalf of the chairman of INEC, of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner, and he is returned elected.
Following the declaration of Senator Ademola Adeleke as governor-elect of Osun State, representative of the party hailed what he described as the doggedness of the people of Osun. He said the outcome of the poll is a new dawn for the state, assuring that Senator Adeleke will justify the mandate now reposed on him.
On behalf of our candidate, the governor-elect of Osun State, His Excellency Senator Nuruddin Ademola Jackson Adeleke, and on behalf of the People's Democratic Party that have the privilege of representing as the state coalition agent, we want to thank the Almighty God for restoring the glory of our state and for counting the PDP worthy once again to be given the mandate to govern this blessed state. We thank God Almighty and we thank the good people of Osun State.
It is victory at last for the PDP candidate and his supporters. Compared to his loss in the last election in 2018, Senator Adeleke bounced back to defeat incumbent Governor Yetola with a vote margin of 28,344.
Well, joining me now for more discussion on this is Ademola Adeleke, Executive Director, Journalist for Democratic Rights. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Good evening.
Good evening. Now, what do you say is unique about this Osun State governorship election compared to that of Ekiti State?
Well, I think there are so many lessons from the election. In the first place, it's off-season election, just like Ekiti State election. And then we had a situation where less than 24 hours, the results were announced. There were no instances of pronounced cases of violence, though we read that somebody was shot. But compared with the elections we have had in the past, I think the violence was minimal. And I think in terms of response of INEC, relaying the results, the portal that everybody could see the result, I think it was very good development to eliminate malpractices. And I also think in terms of the paradigm shift, from APC to PDP, that is the essence of democracy. But when you look at the difference between the two parties, less than 25,000 votes, it shows that the two parties are formidable in the state, and that the pendulum could have swung either side. There was no overwhelming victory compared with what you had in Ekiti State, where the margin was large. And also in Ekiti State, if you look at the state, there are three dominant parties: the SDP, the PDP, and then the APC. But in the case of Osun State, I think there are only two dominant parties: the PDP, and then the APC. The third runner, Labour Party, was a paperweight. It couldn't make any impact. So I think the people have decided the kind of government they want, and it shows that, at least democracy is far better than any other system of government. People can come out to vote and, decide where they want to go. But I think on the other side, if you look at the number of the people that collected PVCs, around 1.5 million, compared with about 800,000, in terms of the number of people that came out to vote. It shows that potentially, the two parties still need to work ahead of 2023 election, because it shows that Osun State can produce as much as 1.3 million or 1.4 million, even 1.5 million voters, compared with these 100,000 votes that we have. So it's a challenge for the two parties that they need to go out there to mobilize people to come out and vote, to constantly engage them, so that next election, Osun State can recall a higher number of voters compared with what we have today. Okay,
so there was this major concern over insufficient beavers mentioned during the election. Does it mean the INEC didn't see the large turnout of voters coming?
Well, I think generally we have always seen a situation where the number of percentage of voters compared with, a registered voter is usually very low. I think they did not anticipate that, we are going to have up to close to 800,000 voters coming out to register their vote. And I hope they are going to learn new lessons, from this. I also think what the result we have today may not necessarily predict what may happen in 2023. This is a purely local election. It may not reflect the outcome of the presidential election coming up in Nigeria, February next year. So there are so many local factors that are involved. The APC was divided along the line, and the current the person voted in, if you look at his history, he was also at the time, fraternizing with the APC. His senior brother was a former governor, and he's from a rich political home. His father was actually a senator in the UPN, an aide of the late Obafemi Awolowo, and his grandmother was a Yaloja, in Osun State. So, when you look at his family background and the fact that he was also in APC at the time, it shows that so many factors, contributed to the victory of. But he still needs to contend with a house dominated by APC, at least for the next 6 months.
Okay, speaking of 2023 general election, how would you rate INEC's readiness for the 2023 election, judging from Ekiti and Osun governorship election?
I think there has been tremendous improvement in terms of performance of INEC. In terms of early arrival of materials, in terms of publicity, energizing the people to come out to vote, and in terms of releasing the results on time. They have a portal whereby when the results are coming in, everybody can see the results without any hidden hands. So I think there has been quite a lot of improvement. Even in terms of security, about 21,000 policemen were deployed to Osun State, but there was no pronounced case of violence, ballot snatching, and all that. So I think in terms of security, in terms of INEC preparedness, I think we are actually making progress.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution so far, but we will take a short break. Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Still talking politics. The vice presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Kashim Shettima, has been described as a detribalized Nigerian who is more concerned about the unity of the nation. This was made known by some APC chieftains during congratulatory visits to the former Borno State Governor in Abuja. Ola Awakon reports.
Kashim Shettima. After the public announcement of former Governor of Borno State, Senator Kashim Shettima, as the running mate to APC presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Tinubu in the forthcoming elections, the Abuja house of Senator Shettima has been a beehive of activities. One discourse that has dominated the public space is that of the Muslim ticket by the All Progressives Congress. But the APC has continued to defend their decision. Many say Tinubu Shettima ticket is the best choice.
Asiwaju has made the right choice, and APC will work hard to make sure we win the election by God's grace. And other accusations, whether Muslim or Muslim ticket, I believe Nigeria will have gone beyond religious differences.
Look at their track record. When Bola Tinubu was governor of Lagos State, look at what he did. And his successors that he brought, they are all performing, including the vice presidential candidate in Borno.
He's a detribalized Nigerian. He does not emphasize religion in his operations, and Asiwaju does not also. So this is a regime that will reduce tension.
These APC chieftains have pointed out the need for Nigerians to look beyond religion and ethnicity in the yearning for national development.
Kashim Shettima is a detribalized Nigerian who relates with people irrespective of their religious background.
Our candidates are matured enough. They know what the Nigeria is passing through now, and I believe that they're bringing a lot of experience to bear. Let Nigerians give us chance.
If it's based on religion, people are talking about Muslim or Christian, then let us just go to either Khan or Jamaat al-Nasr Islam to get our president and then vice president. But it's not about that. They have, religious bodies have their own systems and no one interferes there. But this issue of governance is the issue of serious business, and what we need is competent hands.
As the APC scaled the hurdle of picking a running mate for the presidential candidate, another phase to surmount is to work hard for the buy-in of Nigerians into believing in the party's choice for victory next year. Ola Awakon, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, in case you're just joining us, we're still highlighting the stories that made the headlines during the week. And I still have Ademola Adeleke here in the studio with me. Now, let's talk about this Muslim ticket of the ruling party that is still raising dust in some quarters. Does this pose any danger for the party?
Well, I think people are opposed to this choice for so many reasons. Some do it because for personal reasons, maybe they feel that their candidate should have been picked, probably as a Christian, and then on that basis, they are foiling the debate. There are also those that are in opposition to the APC who feel that this should be used as a pawn, in the campaign, the propaganda to, raise public anger against the APC. But I think as journalists, we need to set agenda for our country. And I think we have to do it by looking at best global practices. In reality, we have had Christian, Muslim, Muslim-Christian since 1999. What has that brought us? What has that brought to the table of the average Nigerian? We realize that Nigeria is a plural society where people belong to different religions and all that, but I don't think that integrity, transparency, humility, people are not corrupt is determined by their faith. For instance, if you are healed, Nigeria is like a very sick country that is, that needs to be hospitalized. I don't think the question should be whether the patient should be asking whether the team of doctors who want to perform the operation are, Muslims or Christians. I think what is important is for us to look at, the credibility of those that are leading us, the level of integrity. We have had Muslim governors who have been jailed for corruption, one in the UK, two, in fact, in UK. We have had Muslim governors who have been jailed for corruption, and we have seen a situation where, when you look at Nigeria, for instance, today, there are 36 states in the federation. Out of these 36 governors, there are 20 that are Christians. There are 16 that are Muslims. Out of the deputy governors, we have 22 that are Christians, 14 are Muslims. But in reality, that is not what determines good governance. So I think in as much as we have been polarized along religious lines, we should be able to lift ourselves, to the level of humanity and, to reflect what we think should be, in the interest of our people. Because, if you are going to the market to go and buy goods, you are not looking at whether the person that is coming to buy from you is a Christian or Muslim. When you are in school, you don't say a teacher is good because of his faith. But over the years, we have been, our humanity has been demolished to the extent that we are appealing to primordial sentiments. So I don't think this should be the basis of judging those that are going to lead us. And in any case, Nigeria, we have had 60 years of post-independence history. This is not the last chapter of Nigerian history. Maybe in future, we may also have Christian ticket. And of course, we should not also forget that this is not essentially a Muslim ticket. It is also a Southwest, Northeast ticket. It is also a Yoruba Kanuri ticket. People are talking about Muslim, they are not talking about whether it is right for somebody who is the president of this country, for somebody who will succeed him to be from the same ethnic group. What would have happened if Obasanjo, when he was living in 2007, he was succeeded by somebody who is also a Yoruba person? Okay. You understand? But people are not talking about that. And that is also a possibility when you look at the candidate of the PDP. So I think we should grow beyond these sentiments and look at the quality of those that want to lead us, whether they are good or not. I think that is what we need at this moment.
Okay, so while the party is gunning for competence and winning, how would you strike the balance in inclusion and fairness in a country like Nigeria?
Well, I believe there are competent people either, in any of the fields, but it is left for each party to decide, which, candidates the party really wants to throw up. And I think it is left for Nigerians on the day of voting to decide whether this party has done the right thing or not. And if I'm going to vote on that day, my sentiment is going to be on looking at the character of those that are, leading each of the parties. And I'm going to vote based on whether this person, to look at his history, his character, his reputation. I'm not going to look at faith, because I don't think that will really advance our. Look at what is happening in Britain today. The person that is, likely to succeed Boris Johnson is an Indian who was raised in Kenya. Nobody is talking about his faith, whether it's Hindu or Buddhist. People are talking about his capacity, whether he can transform the country. People are looking at his integrity. People are looking at his background. And I think that is what is most important for us. If we are just saying that people should become leaders, then it means that it may trickle down to even our civil service, our banking system, the CBN, the public service, that we want to look at a bank manager. Once you have a bank manager who is a Christian, then the deputy must be Muslim. I think that will further, destroy the very fabric that's supposed to unite us.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution. But let's move on to our last discussion for tonight. Barely 5 months into ASUU strike, President Muhammadu Buhari is now calling on the Academic Staff Union of universities to reconsider their position. The president said the hiatus will have generational consequences on families, the educational system, and future development of the country. He said the strike had already taken a toll on the psychology of parents, students, and other stakeholders, throwing up many moral issues that are already begging for attention. President Buhari spoke when he received some governors of the All Progressives Congress, legislators and political leaders at his residence in Daura on a Salah homage. Now joining me to discuss this is Dele Ashiru, Chairman, Academic Staff Union of Universities, Lagos Chapter. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right. So what's your reaction to the president's enough is enough remark to ASUU over its strike?
Well, it will best be described as an insensitive, very unpresidential statement. I am saying that against the backdrop of the fact that since the strike commenced on the 14th of February 2022, and I hope the president himself had given more than 3 clear directives to agencies of government, appointees of government, who are directly responsible for the resolution of the conflict. As I speak with you, all of those agencies of government, including his appointees, have failed to deliver on the mandate. It is therefore unbecoming of a president to fail to call his appointees to order and then go to Daura at a Salah celebration and then said enough is enough of what? Enough is enough. You are owing a group of people, arrears of salaries. You have refused to negotiate an agreement. You have refused to implement it. You are paying them under a platform that is injurious to them. All of these issues are left unresolved. And then all the president has to say is enough is enough. I think that those who are writing speeches for president should be more realistic and draw the president's attention to more realistic issues than just playing to the gallery. I consider that speech as a mere playing to the gallery, at the highest level of government, which is unbecoming, very unbecoming.
All right, now ASUU has also responded by saying that they are not the ones keeping the students at home. Do you agree?
100%. I agree. We are not the ones keeping students at home. We have issues with government.
All right, let me have your thought on this. ASUU has responded saying, we're not the one keeping the student at home. What do you think?
Well, I think ASUU is absolutely right. They have been making these demands for several years, and they have signed several MOUs. And what we have seen is that consistently the government has refused to meet, its own side of the bargain. So I'm very sure that the lecturers are not happy sitting down at home. They want to go back to work, but I think it's contemptuous to think that you don't want to meet their conditions and then you want them to.
All right, thank you. I'm told Dele is back. Can you hear me, Mr. Dele?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so you were talking about how ASUU is not responsible for students being at home.
Oh, yes. I have just told you that even the essence of our strike is to ensure that the public university system in Nigeria is not destroyed. The objective of government is to destroy these institutions like they have done in primary and secondary schools, public, so that the private ones they are establishing will thrive. independency of this current administration, about 2 universities have been established in the president's village in Daura. The politicians have turned universities into constituency projects. And then spokespersons of government are escalating the crisis rather than looking for solution. So I can tell you that our members are eager. We are willing to go back to work if government puts its ass together and do what is right in the interest of Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Adeleke. And also, thank you for joining us. Thank you. All right, and that's our show for today. But don't forget to join us on our next week for a fresh episode. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platform at TVC News NG or our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Jacinta Obiugu, and until next week, it's goodbye.